How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Baking World Tour. Today we're making Dhalpuri Roti. They are unleavened flatbreads stuffed with split peas. Originating from Indian immigrants, they are popular all over the Caribbean islands. But it's Barbados' turn in the Baking World Tour, so that's what we're doing. And these things are seriously good. I mean, they're commonly used to make wraps with, but you could eat them alongside the curry any day. I never knew these existed, and the result was amazing. Now it got me thinking what else I could stuff inside an unleavened flatbread. And if you like your flatbreads, it's well worth trying this out. So let's get to it. For the dough, we'll need some strong white bread flour, water, baking powder, salt, and some oil. Now for the filling, we'll need some yellow split peas. You can use dry ones, you can also use pre-cooked ones. But home cooked is always best, right? Then we'll need some turmeric, some cumin, an onion, bay leaves, a bit of chili, a few cloves of garlic, coriander, and some salt and pepper for seasoning. Now equipment wise, we'll need a pan to cook the roti, a bowl, scales, a dough scraper, and a rolling pin, and a pot for cooking our filling in. Now a food processor will be better for this. I only have a stick blender, I made it work, it was fine. So let's start by making the filling. I got the dry split peas, I'm going to cover them with water, and I'll leave them to soak for around 24 hours or until they're nice and soft. You could of course cook them from dry, but they would take forever. So let's get on with it. Drain your peas, get a pot. We're gonna add the pinch of chili, the bay leaf, the turmeric, the cumin, the onion, and a good pinch of salt. Now we're keeping the onion whole because it's only there for flavor. It will be discarded along with the bay leaves after cooking. Now add plenty of water, and on the stove we go. And this is super simple. Just get it up to heat, bring it up to the boil, and cook it for around 30 minutes. Again, if you use dry peas, then this may take more than an hour. But in any case, just check them and cook them until they're nice and soft. I imagine this recipe could also be made with chickpeas or red lentils, but I'm going to try and stick to the original this time. Now once you drained your peas and discarded the onion and the bay leaf, add them to your food processor or to a large bowl like I'm doing here. Then add the fresh garlic, the coriander, and the salt and pepper. We did season the water earlier with salt, but that wasn't quite enough. Now you want to blend this until it's nice and smooth. Get it as smooth as possible. You want to avoid having whole peas after you're done, because when you go to roll the dough, they might poke through it, and you don't want that. So don't rush it, take your time, blitz them properly. And as I said, the stick blender is not the perfect tool for this at all. I'm going to transfer this to a smaller bowl, leave it on the side to cool down completely before I use it. Let's have a closer look at the texture here. You can see how smooth it is. Whilst this is cooling down, we can continue on by making the dough. Grab your large bowl, add the water, add the salt, the baking powder, and the oil. Give it all a good mix. You want to dissolve the salt before you add the flour. Once you've added the flour, grab your scraper and mix it to a dough. Mix it in a bowl until there's no more dry flour left. Only then tip it out on your table to avoid making a mess. I always like to start off with the scraper, and if it's not doing the job, continue on by hand. This is a relatively low hydration dough, so we're going to use a regular kneading method here. What I like to do is press down and forwards with the heel of my right hand, then using the fingers of my left hand I fold the piece of dough under the heel of my right hand. Then turn it and repeat. Once you've done this a few times, the motion will become fluent. It'll be like second nature. And I know I repeat this in every video, but you know, in case there's new viewers here. So after around 6 minutes of kneading, the dough should be nice and smooth. And we can divide this right away. Get your scales, weigh your dough ball, and divide it into 6 equal pieces. Now the pan that I'm using is about 10 inches in diameter, which is about 24-25 centimeters. If your pan is smaller, you can divide this dough into 8 pieces. You don't want your rotis to be too thick. Right, after dividing, we need to pre-shape them into round balls. Flatten the dough out, fold the edge over the middle, going around in a circle until it reaches point where it started. Then tighten it against the table, pick it up, pinch the seam together at the bottom, and that's how you shape a round dough ball. Then finish the rest, put them all on a plate or on a tray, cover them up, or pop them in the fridge to cool down for 30 minutes. During this time, the dough will relax, will make it easier for us to fill it up. After 30 minutes, take your dough balls out of the fridge, unwrap them, get your filling ready. Now it's time to stuff these. It's worth noting at this point that when I made this recipe, when I was filming the video, I had too much filling, so I had quite a bit left over. But since then, I have adjusted the amounts in the recipe, so you can use all of your split peas. Now we need to stretch these out a little bit. Take your dough ball, turn it upside down so the bottom is facing up, flatten it, and then using your index fingers and your thumbs on both hands, stretch the edge out, going around in a circle. I stretched them to about the size of the palm of my hand. Now finish the other ones, grab your filling, and start filling these up. A good 2 tablespoons should fit in each. And don't worry if it looks like a lot, trust me, it will fit. So to close them up, pick up one of your rotis, or unfinished rotis at this point, place it in the palm of your hand, let it rest in your palm with your fingers curled up. Then push the filling down and then close the edges closer and closer together until they're completely sealed up. And again, there's no rush, just take your time. The slower you go, the better you'll make them. And make sure to pinch the seam together properly. And if you completely messed up the first one, no worries, you got 5 more to practice on. Now before we roll them out and cook them, we need to chill them out in the fridge one more time. If you try and roll them right away, you risk tearing them. And besides, this is a good way of controlling when you cook them. You could pop these in the fridge and leave them for many hours. So it makes it quite easy to fit a recipe like this around your schedule. So wrap them up in cling film, pop them in the fridge for at least 30 more minutes. And after that will come the real crucial part, rolling them nice and thin. Which is by no means difficult, it's just that once again, as with every step before this, we need to take our time and do it gradually. Take your dough ball, make sure everything's dusted with flour nicely, and then start pressing it out by hand. And don't use the tips of your fingers, use the flat part of your finger. Press it out gently, turning it once in a while. A process like this is always best started by hand. If you start with a rolling pin straight from the get-go, you risk breaking your roti. So once it's nice and flat, continue on with the rolling pin. The way I like to do it is roll it once back and forth and turn it. Roll it, turn it, and roll it and turn it. If you see bubbles forming around the edge, you can pop them. There could be some air trapped inside your roti. But this is how it should look. Nice and thin, nice and delicate. Now leave it on the side and continue on with the rest. You could of course roll them and cook them straight away. And I would do that normally, but because I have to film a video, I have to reposition the camera. For me it's best to roll them all out and then cook them in a row. So I've stacked them up on a plate, on top of each other, with a little bit of flour in between them so they don't stick. If your kitchen is really warm, then this might be a problem. So like I said, it's always best to roll it and cook it right away, and do them one by one. Now in your pan goes plenty of oil on medium to high heat. Lay your roti down in there. Flip it every 30 seconds or so. The total cooking time will be around 5 to 6 minutes. And once it's golden brown on both sides, it's ready. Now as soon as it comes out of the pan, cover it up with either cling film or some tin foil so it doesn't dry out. And that's how we make Bajan Dhalpuri roti. They're also commonly known as roti skins. I guess because you use it as a skin to make wraps with. It was so good. I'm definitely making these again. So what do you reckon to these rotis? Have you made them before? Have you tried them anywhere? Do you know of any other variations? Let me know down in the comments. And if you have any questions or suggestions, also let me know. And click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and ring that bell. Because if you love bread, you've come to the right place. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.